You don't like certain speech? The best speech for wrong speech is more speech. The best speech for false speech is true speech. That's how it works. You have a debate, and you trust we, the people, to figure it out, not some.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'm inspired by your First Amendment passion. You are the
I knew you would be.
You are the John Stuart Mill of the House of Representatives and the Voltaire of Congress, and you put me in the mood of Justice Brandeis. But I want to ask.
You can stop there.
No, I got to keep going a little bit because I have to know whether or not your First Amendment passion and principles, which I take to be completely true, and I've always known that about you, extend to one citizen named Donald Trump. Now, let's talk about Donald Trump for a second, okay? He is, after all, I think, the President of the United States. And check this out, okay? Everybody in this room who's sitting on this side of the dais is a politician, okay? We have people say stuff about us and say stuff about our rivals and our opponents all the time. I don't know if there's anybody here who's ever sued anybody in politics for libel or defamation. I'm taking that no. I imagine a lot of us have felt like, have you? Well, I'll be curious to hear about that later, Mr. Issa. But the vast majority of us don't sue people, even when we feel really aggrieved by the mean things that people say. And yet, Donald Trump gets to be president of the United States, and suddenly he decides he doesn't like Jim Jordan's approach, which is the answer to bad speech is good speech. The answer to false speech is true speech. The answer to nonsense is the dialectics of expression. That's the spirit of the First Amendment. Well, check this one out. Donald Trump personally suing CBS for $20 billion. The president of the United States is suing CBS for $20 billion. Why? What did they say about him? Did they lie about him? Did they defame him? No, it has nothing to do with him. It has to do with the way he thinks they unfairly edited a video conversation with Kamala Harris. He said that the way the video looked in the commercial for 60 Minutes was different from the way she appeared. The president of the United States is suing them for $20 billion and ordering the FCC, which is part of the U.S. government and under his unitary executive theory, reporting directly to him like a monarch. He's ordered them to go out and investigate CBS. And meantime, his close friend is trying to take over Paramount. And so he's, of course, completely entangled on the business side. That's not the first time. He did it to ABC with George Stephanopoulos, which settled a suit for him for, I think that one was $15 million. The president of the United States is shaking down the media. Would you guys really be so silent and taciturn about this if it was Joe Biden doing that? Honestly, I'm just waiting for one person to answer me honestly about it. Would you guys be okay if Joe Biden had been the one who had said destroy a grand jury subpoena against the Democratic mayor of New York for corruption? Would you be okay with that? But suddenly, because it's Donald Trump, you don't want to do oversight on it. It's the most amazing thing in the world. And there are young people watching, and this is the U.S. government. And we're going to be silent with all of these attacks on the First Amendment where the president is saying, I don't like the words you use. I want you to say Gulf of America, not Gulf of Mexico. Associated Press is now banned from this room. I'm kicking you out. I mean, come on. This is the United States of America. Will any of my friends over there, all of whom understand and love the First Amendment, say it should apply even against the President of the United States? And I know you voted for him, and you'd vote for him again if the Constitution changes and so on. But leaving all that aside, does the First Amendment not apply to him? So I find that we are in an astonishing situation.
Well,
Parliamentary inquiry.
So we're gonna try to look at all that. That's why we spelled it out in our plan.
May I have a parliamentary
Relative
inquiry?
to the Doge effort, instead of helping us deal with the ridiculous spending, all you guys seem to want to do is attack the guy who's exposing the ridiculous spending. And with that,
May I have a parliamentary inquiry?
the gentleman can say this inquiry.
Does the oversight plan include an investigation if the executive branch defies court orders?
You can read the plan, draw your own conclusion, or you can also do what I suggested a few minutes ago. You can file your minority views where you lay out whatever you want to lay out, and you can go longer than Mr. Raskin's opening statement. You can put all kinds of things in there.
So I take that as a no.
You read the plan yourself, and you can reach your own conclusion. Who seeks recognition?
I have an amendment at the desk, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman from Maryland's recognized. The clerk will report the amendment.
Amendment to the Committee on the Judiciary Authorization.
Amendment will be
Oversight
considered
Plan.
as, without objection, the amendment will be considered as read. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized to explain his amendment.
All right, this is the aforementioned amendment, which is simply to go back to the Judiciary Committee's tradition of articulating an oversight plan that states the general subject matters. So it is innocuous, it's anodyne, it doesn't sound like Fox News, it doesn't sound like MSNBC. There are not partisan hits on the other side. But perhaps it's too late in the day for this, Mr. Chairman. Perhaps politics saturates everything, even the oversight plan. I will say, just in response to your typically pungent and most recent provocation, that we are not upset about waste, fraud, and abuse. We're afraid of the guy who's going after it. I've got some problems with that statement. Okay. One problem with that statement is that the very first thing that Elon Musk and his friend Donald Trump did the first week of the inauguration was to fire 17 inspectors general. These are the people whose job it is to ferret out waste, fraud, and abuse in each department. Last year, they saved us $91 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse. I'm not sure Elon Musk has saved us $91 in waste, fraud, and abuse. They're just sacking, air traffic controllers. They're sacking food and drug safety inspectors. They're sacking assistant U.S. attorneys who worked on prosecuting the January 6 cases. They're trampling the civil service, and they're firing people, and then the next week they have to go back to try to find them again because they realize that we actually have a government and we have a need for federal workers. They sacked a bunch of nuclear reactor safety inspectors and guards, and then since they cut off their email access, they couldn't find them the next week when they realized what they had done. I mean, this is just absurd and outrageous. We've got an oversight committee. I mean, what a telling critique it is of our own oversight committee that you say we need to create a fourth branch of government in Elon Musk. Nobody can seem to identify even what his job is, but we need him to go out and start ferreting out waste, fraud, and abuse with a band of, 30 or 40 workers. I think 24 of them, someone will get me the article, just resigned, saying this is not working. His own workers within Doge resigned yesterday to say that it's not working. So the whole country is in an uproar. So I will go back to the colleagues of the comments of my colleague from New York about us having some institutional self-respect at this point. They're trashing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We created that. They reduced credit card late fees from $38 or $40 down to $8. Anybody want to overturn that and destroy that? They reduced bank overdraft fees from an average of $35 or $40 down to $5. Anybody want to trash that? The reason why we have a Congress is so we can make decisions for our constituents about the public good, not Elon Musk, an immigrant, by the way, an undocumented immigrant for a long time, but he was an immigrant from apartheid South Africa who came to our country on a college student visa, left college, and at that point was no longer in the country lawfully, stayed and worked illegally until he was sponsored by his employer. I'm glad we're a country with a big heart, big enough to take in an undocumented immigrant like Elon Musk. But he's showing some kind of gratitude for the hospitality of our country that he comes in like a bull in a china shop, destroying everything that the U.S. Congress has done and trampling the constitutional rights and the civil service rights of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of federal workers. He sent out a message giving them a Godfather offer, verbatim taken from the memo he sent to the people at Twitter when he took over Twitter, telling them to hit reply in order to resign. He asked 2 million American workers to resign and to take an 8-month paid vacation at the expense of the U.S. taxpayers. And as far as I know, he didn't consult the president. He certainly didn't consult Congress. And we're going to sit here on our hands and take that? What an outrage. What a scandal that is, that the Congress of the United States would allow itself to be rolled in this way. So that's what we're going to talk about, Mr. Chairman, because we no longer are going to have a nonpartisan objective oversight statement. I yield back to you.
Gentleman yields back. Who seeks recognition? Question is on the amendment. Gentlelady from North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you. I'd like to speak in favor of the amendment because, as I said in my initial remarks, this amendment reflects what our responsibility is as members of the Judiciary Committee and members of the legislative branch. And it shows no favor depending on who is in the executive branch. It also makes sure that our U.S. Department of Justice, and we just had a turnover, responds to the needs of the American people. That is our job, and this amendment reflects it. Thank you, and I yield.
Will the gentlelady yield, please?
I yield to the ranking member.
Thank you. First of all, I've got the exact information. 21 DOJ staffers resigned, saying they will not help dismantle public services. These are people working directly for Elon Musk, as far as we can tell. Now, last week, the administration filed legal pleadings disavowing the suggestion that Elon Musk actually works for DOJ. And yesterday, I think they named someone who actually is running DOJ. What then is the role of Elon Musk? He seems to be in charge of the situation, and maybe one of our colleagues, because they are in the same party with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, could tell us what role he's playing, but we don't understand that. He's not a public employee? I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Well, I know very little about him. I know that everybody in this room who works for the government has got to file ethics forms and do a financial filing. Elon Musk has not done a financial filing. So we know that he collects billions of dollars from the U.S. government as a federal contractor. I hope somebody gets me that article. I think it just came out exactly how much he gets. It's built on a $38 billion. It's the title here, and I'll introduce this to the record from the Washington Post this morning. Elon Musk's business empire is built on $38 billion in government funding. So the guy that we have somehow...
Without objection.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman. The guy that we've somehow entrusted with the job of doing our job of oversight to ferret out waste, fraud, and abuse is himself collecting $38 billion in government funding. The person, as the gentlelady from North Carolina says, that we've entrusted with the private data of 300 million Americans in the country, although the courts have moved in to stop that. There are now 25 temporary restraining orders or preliminary injunctions against the absolute lawlessness and chaos unleashed on the U.S. government and the American people by Elon Musk. So I would like to also introduce this one. The 21 DOJ staffers resigned, saying they will not help dismantle public services, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
Thank you kindly. Well, look, the gentlelady from North Carolina refocuses us on the proper question here. What's the role of Congress? What's the role of the president, right? Now, the Congress is created in Article 1, the first article of the Constitution. It flows right out of the preamble. Immediately after the preamble, which says, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and preserve to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of liberty, do hereby ordain and establish the Constitution of these United States of America. The very next sentence establishes Article 1 of the Constitution. It says that the legislative power is vested in Congress. Then you get page after page after page of what Congress's powers are. In Article 1, Section 8, the power to regulate commerce nationally and internationally, the power to declare war, which is a congressional power, the power to coin currency, naturalization, you name it. And even in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, all other powers necessary and proper to the execution of the foregoing powers. Then you get to Article 2, right? 4 short paragraphs. One of them is all about how you impeach a president for treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Sometimes colleagues will say, we're a co-equal branch. Really? First of all, co-equal is not even a word. That's like extremely unique. That's not a word. Are we an equal branch? I don't think so. We had a revolution against a king and a monarch. The framers were very suspicious of what one individual, what one mad king could do if they thought they were smarter than everybody else. The core job of the executive is to take care that the laws are faithfully executed, not trashed. I yield back to you.